Hey, okay, we're on air. Today is Thursday, January 11th. Yep. And this is a meeting to talk about community outreach for Backdrop CMS. First and foremost, since our last community outreach meeting, we have pushed an update to the homepage of backdropcms.org. Finally, I was just thinking about it. I think we've had the designs for this homepage for a year now. We've been kind of inching slowly closer and closer. And I think we're pretty close right now. We're at like maybe 85% of our designs implemented. So that's pretty good. The biggest change is the hero at the top of the page, where we have a new tagline that includes the free and open source nature, as well as just being targeted at small to medium business and nonprofit. We've got our new button style, and we have this sort of 3 phone, tablet, computer screenshots of a new backdrop site. We also put a promo block for the showcase section on the homepage, and that includes the 3 most recent promoted sites, and they're ordered by launch date. So if you end up putting up like a site that launched a month ago and it gets promoted, it might not end up being on the homepage right away. But that's what those are. And then we have the same homepage content we had before, which is our kind of list of features. We added a resources block. We still have the latest news stuff. We added the books that are for sale on Backdrop, and we decreased the emphasis of the we support area a little bit. The one thing that's still missing from the homepage that I think we need to include is the fancy new display of our features. And we do have a new content type that highlights each feature. So this is from the list that we have on the page now. And we want to just kind of add screenshots and or videos of each of those and put them into like a fancy carousel thing with tabs, so people can kind of browse through all of the features for Backdrop in a different way than just listing them all kind of as a bulleted list here. And I think we're close. Like, we have the content type, we have some of the content. Other things just need some screenshots and a little bit more text. Like right now we've got maybe 1 sentence for each item. It would be good to have a bullet list of maybe 3 things. Or if a bullet list doesn't fit the feature, just something a little bit more descriptive that highlights why those things are great in Backdrop. So as far as the photo or video, the design shows a photo, but I noticed when I was looking at our agenda today, one of the things we have there is like, what should we make videos on? And I thought this might be a great source of content for the videos. Like if we found something like URL redirects, that might not be something people understand and from a photo, but if we had a video that was like, this is what happens when you create a page, and this is what happens when you change its title, and this is why you need a redirect, that would be a really great 5-minute video or 2-minute video, or however long that is, but which I think would be a little bit more understandable for people, or digestible in a different format. So I'm not sure we have redirects on there now, but we had mentioned wanting to add a slide or a feature node for each new feature that made it into core, and redirect was something that went in, I think, version 1.3 or something pretty early on. So that could be something where we could highlight that there. All right, so that's the homepage. In doing the homepage redesign, I also spent some time reworking the theme to make it a more suitable base theme, and part of that was also cleaning up the theme on the forum site. So now if you want a website that looks exactly like backdropcms.org, you can download the Borg theme from the community section, which is great. And it's, again, because it was written for backdropcms.org, not an ideal base theme, but we're trying to make it a little bit better because we're also going to be using it not only on the forum site, but on the API site. And so as we go through the process of making it a base theme for our needs, it'll get better as being a base theme for other people too. We know that the code is a little messy, and Wes did a pass once of trying to clean it all up, but we've made so much progress on the theme since then. I think moving forward with this old Borg theme is probably the way to go, and continuing to apply cleanups would be good. So anything we can take from Wes's theme and use in terms of cleaning up our code would also be good. So if we have anyone who's a front ender who wants to spend some time on this, I'm happy to let anyone else be a co-maintainer of that theme. My focus right now is really just getting this new homepage design up and trying to do it in a way where we could use the same theme on the forum in a way that was easy to override. I noticed Doc Woman had done a bunch of, he made a sub-theme and added a new style sheet. And I was like, oh, there's a way we can kind of incorporate this in a way that's a little better. So hopefully it's going to be easier to maintain now for all sites. All right, so because these changes are new and there were a bunch of changes to the base theme in addition to just the addition of the homepage CSS, there's likely to be little things around backdropcms.org that are not perfect. And so I would encourage anyone who's looking at the website who finds something funny, point it out to me. It's likely I broke it by accident. I noticed that the supporters lists, for example, don't look great on mobile. I'm planning on fixing those today. But if there's anything else, create an issue in the backdropcms.org queue if you can't find me on Gitter. But I will be working through some of these issues over the next few days, hopefully before we send out the next newsletter and drive a bunch of people to the site. Speaking of newsletters, this month we had planned to send out a newsletter announcing Backdrop being a member of the Software Freedom Conservancy, but we are still waiting for Gregory to send his signed agreement back in, and I haven't heard from Gregory in about a month. I'm starting to get a little bit worried about him. I hope everything's okay. But as soon as we get that signed agreement, we'll be able to send the newsletter and not before. So I'm hoping that if we don't get that figured out soon, we'll come up with another idea for the newsletter. So we have Backdrop 1.9 coming out soon. We could skip the newsletter if we needed to. I would love to send something, even if it's not that. Maybe it could be an announcement about upcoming events where people could go to learn about Backdrop. I know, you know, the holidays are kind of a quiet period in terms of not a lot of camps or conferences going on. And now it's the beginning of the year, new year, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming up. It might be good to kind of send out a newsletter for people who might not, you know, be located in the same area to say, hey, are you interested in doing a Backdrop training? Here are 3 places where you could go to learn more about Backdrop. Something like that might be a good idea. But I'm open to, I don't know, Tom, if you have any ideas about other stuff we might want to announce.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
That might be something that we could list to in every newsletter, like make it a feature where every time we send a newsletter, we're like, FYI, here are the upcoming events where Backdrop will be featured. And then that way we could make sure that everybody would always find out about where stuff is going on near them, at least as long as it's a reasonable list.
Sounds good.
Oh, okay, blog posts. So I haven't checked this week's unpublished content to see if anybody wrote anything. I didn't ask anyone to, so I'm not expecting there to be anything there, but you never know. But yeah, we need ideas for stuff to put in the blog as well. I think our last one was about a survey. I'll probably leave that open until at least tomorrow. We've had a bunch of great feedback. In general, it seems to be that the things people want most are module themes and layouts, which is not surprising. But there's also been a really big demand for the display of information on module themes and layouts, as well as the ability to search them. So I think as far as the backdropcms.org website goes, that's where we need to make the most progress next. Like now that we've got the homepage sort of done enough, we should change gears to working on the way it feels to search for a project that you had on your site in Drupal needs to be better. So getting the search results to be in a better order, like right now you search for something and sometimes the best match isn't at the top of the list. Getting the search to search for, there's a content type as well as a project called a like a project placeholder. So if we had a project that isn't needed in Backdrop anymore, like it's moved into core, or something that had like a name change, there's a placeholder in there so that if somebody searches for that project, they'll get the other one and it'll say, you don't need this module in Backdrop. And I think that'll also help kind of create people's or increase people's confidence when they're looking for Path Auto. And we're like, no, that's in core now. So it's not, they don't think Path Auto doesn't exist for Backdrop. It'll help kind of people feel that they're closer in terms of the number of modules that they need to be ready. So I'd like to spend some time working on that. And then the display, we have a design for a module page. We also have a better design for the search page that includes filters and facets. And I think it would be a good time to implement those now that we have a bunch of projects. Initially, we didn't have, hundreds of projects, and it wasn't necessary to let people drill down. But getting some of those filters in, also, we have it like search by category, but we don't have a great way of letting people define what category their modules are in via the info files yet. So that also is going to require a change to core to support the adding of tags or categories, and then the incorporating of those tags or categories to match the live site, and then the use of the filters. So there's a couple of steps involved there, and I'd love to get some focus on that. So great news from the survey in terms of what people need. I think it'll help our direction, but I'm not sure how much longer we need to leave the survey open. I think maybe like a couple days or a week would be enough based on the amount of results that we've gotten. And I think it's also interesting, we got, I think, 20 results directly from the newsletter, and then we put it on the website and asked people to fill it out via Twitter, and we got 30 more. So we've also divided those results into two groups, so we can see like the makeup of our newsletter versus the makeup of people who are finding out about us via Twitter and our website. And it's kind of the same, but it's a little different. There's a lot more people who own websites and have to make a decision about its future on our mailing list. And there's a lot more developer types who are just curious about Backdrop following us on Twitter, which I guess is what you'd expect in terms of who uses those mediums anyway. But I thought that that was interesting division. I don't know, something I hadn't thought about before. All right, so we talked about the newsletter. We talked about blog posts. We're gonna need some more ideas for things we can share there. So if anyone has anything they want to write about, that would be good. Videos featuring each feature that's currently on backdropcms.org would be great. Also, just little your favorite parts of stuff. I still want to do the video on the red dot in the admin bar. It gets like every week I'm like, oh, I should do it right now, and then something happens and I don't. But I'm gonna try and do it again this week. We'll see if it gets done. But yeah, anyone who wants to make a video, there should be a way you can tag it on YouTube so that we'll see it right away. But I haven't figured that out yet, so I just keep kind of searching for videos on Backdrop and trying to add them to one of our lists of videos. And then, a couple weeks ago, I created this issue on the backdropcms.org queue. It's issue number 439, trying to figure out the stuff we should be putting on Twitter. Because there were people who said, oh, I didn't know Backdrop was doing X. And I realized we'd written a blog post about it and sent a newsletter about it, but didn't tweet about it. So people who weren't following about other ways that we're communicating didn't notice. And so I thought it would be good to kind of make sure that we put everything on Twitter. So I have here latest releases of modules and core, announcements about upcoming community meetings. Those are things we already do. Retweets or replies to things other people are saying about Backdrop. That's something I started doing a little bit more recently. I think it's valuable, but if it starts to seem like it isn't, we can cut that out. Links to Backdrop sites that were posted in the showcase. This is something where I realized we have a bunch of fantastic sites in the showcase, and I wanted to kind of show them off a little bit. So I scheduled some of those. I don't know how many times we need to tweet about each site. I think going forward, like once when we get a new one added would be great, but then some kind of ongoing ones too, just to kind of say, check out the showcase for people who haven't seen it yet. A little more general rather than about the specific site might be helpful. Latest module theme layout releases, we've got those already. Sometimes people think that we tweet too much about module theme layout releases, and maybe we should only tweet about new projects, which I think could be valuable too, especially if we get a lot of other good content to be tweeting about. So that's something that we can change in our RSS feed, I guess, so that what comes into Twitter is not as verbose. things that we posted in our newsletter. So if the newsletter is driving traffic to our blog post, the tweet would do that. But if we just announce something like, I don't know, the forum, for example, like we need to make sure we tweet enough about that. That could go in there too. Upcoming sessions, trainings, or summits at any camp or conference. So this is good as soon as we get a session accepted. So anyone let us know via Gitter or I don't know, the contact email on backdropcms.org. And we'll be able to add those upcoming event stuff in there too. Links to good discussions in the forum. So this is something too, now that we have a forum where people are talking about good things, it would be great if we could kind of encourage that conversation to grow wider. And I thought Twitter might be a way we could do that. The Dragon has been providing answers and guidance in the forum. So I thought maybe we could use the Backdrop Dragon account if we wanted to do all of those tweets. And then that way people who were following Backdrop who necessarily didn't want the noise wouldn't need it. But I'm not sure that's a good division. So we can figure that out. And then videos on YouTube, obviously, as they come up, I think we should share those too. So I'm also interested for anyone who's an expert in social media about figuring out more ways to automate this stuff. So if there's like a great tool where we could have like any video that has hashtag backdrop, like auto tweet, that would be great. I'm not entirely sure that's safe if it's coming from like the general public, but yeah. So anyone who's interested in social media knows how to do this stuff. Advice definitely welcome. So that's new. If anyone wants to weigh in on that issue, it's issue number 439 in the backdropcms.org queue. And then we also have this ongoing issue to get backdrop information in non-backdrop news sources. So I know that right now one thing that we're working on is the collaboration with the folks at DDEV, where they're putting in native backdrop support to the local development environment called DDEV. And I've asked them to write a blog post on backdropcms.org about it, but they're probably also going to post on their own channels about it as well. So anyone using DDEV will learn about Backdrop if they hadn't heard about it already, which I think is great. I would love to see more collaboration offered like that in the future. There's also going to be a Civi camp coming up here in the San Francisco Bay Area in the next 6 months or so. And there's going to be a lot of collaboration there. So we'll definitely promote Civi CRM and hopefully vice versa. So that our two audiences can learn about each other. But anything else that people are working on or hear about or interested in or think might be a good match in terms of audience for people who might be interested in Backdrop, definitely let us know. You can tweet at us, use the contact form, or find us in Gitter. We're definitely interested in those. All right, so upcoming events. Florida Drupal Camp, which is going to be February, was it 17th and 18th? We have a Backdrop training there. So if you're interested in learning about Backdrop and you're going to be in Florida, that's a great place to sign up. They haven't announced session selections yet, but we have submitted a session. So hopefully there will be a session as well for people who aren't interested in doing a full day training, but still curious about what's been going on lately. If you're interested in more upcoming events, there is now a page in our fancy drop-down menu on backdropcms.org. The link for Backdrop events is under news. So hopefully people will be able to find that page more easily now. And that, I think, is all that we need to talk about this week. Is there anything in particular, any ideas you had while I was running through that, Tom, that you'd like to talk about, or anything in general? Anything else?
I don't know if it's anything else, but the features that I put up, I'll go ahead and start putting some videos together for those.
That would be great.
The timing of those, you said 2 to 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
was looking at the features, what he has on there. So Clonos created those, correct?
I think so. So there's the list on the homepage is one list, and then we have the content type, I think it's just called feature on the site. That should be sort of a copy of that list on the homepage. There might be some additional things based on new releases that we've had and features that went into those that maybe weren't exciting enough to make the list on the homepage. But yeah, so.
Well, I just, for example, one of the items, I'm logged in, I'm looking at the
Okay.
Views in Core, for example. It just says Dynamic List Builder. Views is part of Backdrop CMS Core.
Yeah.
That would be something that could go into hours and hours of.
Right.
And I'm thinking a 2-minute snippet is going to be about as much as anybody's going to want to watch.
Yeah. I think like the amount of stuff you can do in Views is overwhelming. Like even if you're just doing like a Views only training. So from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know why you would use a CMS, the answer to like what Views is much shorter than someone who's like, how do I build a list of content that this author has tagged in a specific category, all of the crazy things you can do with Views. So it'd just be something like, oh, you want to make a list of your posts and ta-da, that's kind of it. Because it's something that I think WordPress doesn't have anything quite like Views. I mean, they have something similar, but it's not efficient and it doesn't work in quite the same way. And I think if you can just say, like, we have this tool that will write fairly, maybe we shouldn't use the word efficient. I don't know if I'd call Views always efficient, but something that will say that'll give you the power to create any list of any content, period. Like, I think that's all we really need to say. And then we don't have to get into what the any's might mean.
Okay. Can I add to that list?
Yeah. If there's stuff in here that or not stuff in the list that you think is a good reason to use Backdrop, we should add it.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I'll make that a priority for me and see what I can come up with.
And not everything in here is going to be a perfect use case for a video as well. But I think, anything that does a video will be more compelling could be more compelling than a photo.
Okay. Well, and some of them customize everything everywhere is pretty broad.
I think that might just be like we have add-ons. Like you can add a module to customize whatever. You can add a theme to customize your layout. You can add a layout, or customize your layout. Just like kind of everything, like it's open source, maybe. I don't know. It just there could be like a 1-sentence answer to that. That's like, you can see and change whatever you want. But yeah, so keeping some of these things concise could be hard.
And if I need clarification, I'll reach out to you.
Okay. That would be great.
Cool.
Great. Thanks so much. Well, I will see you in the HQ and maybe again in 15 minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for coming and thanks everyone for watching today.